I just finished collecting my textbooks into a bright red basket when I approached the young bookstore employee wearing an Alice in Chains concert shirt, interrupting her organizing the shelves in the back of the store. Excuse me, just want to let you know I'm going to steal these textbooks. Huh? I'm going to steal these textbooks? They're way overpriced. Just thought you should know. I've been wandering the piles and rows and rows of textbooks of the Matador bookstore, Cal State University, Northridge. It was my first day back to CSUN after taking the fall semester off. Year was 1993. I was 19 years old. I was looking down at my list, shaking my head, muttering to myself, this is ridiculous. Come on, CSUN. $60 for a textbook? That's wrong. That's the point, I decided. I was going to take a stand against the injustice of overpriced textbooks. In truth, the real point I decided to steal my college textbooks was 20 minutes earlier. A little context here, that fall semester off, I spent it in a perpetual alcoholic marijuana magic mushroom state. And now, here I was, back at school, barely, in retrospect, mentally unstable, and completely sold on the brilliance of my delusions of grandeur, brazenly announcing my criminal intentions. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? So back to 20 minutes earlier. I'd been standing near the cashiers at the front of the store and watched as student after student walked through the security scanners. Beep, 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 beep. They were halfway out the door before they were stopped by a clearly exasperating employee who was checking their receipt. I walked up to the exasperating employee. She was heavily pierced, wearing a red CSUN t-shirt. Hey, what's going on here? The system, it's going haywire. Yeah, looks like it. Thanks a lot. I circled back through the pens, highlighters, and notebooks and watched from behind the backpack aisle. Beep, 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 beep. And a light went off in my mind. So now, I've just announced my intentions to steal the books, sort of an amateur hour Jedi mind trick. I needed to pull this thing off somehow, so I walked through the store, casing the joint, so to speak. At the front, students were unloading their baskets, various staff coming and going. There's money exchanging hands, shopping bags being filled with books. Heavily pierced girl was pleading for help. Beep, 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 beep. It was chaos. And this chaos, it only served to feed my impulsive plans as my thoughts began to sound like the devil's pep talk. Come on, you could do this. It's a clusterfuck up there. Just put the books in the shopping bags and walk out. Tell me you lost your receipt and you're home free. Clearly the plans of a budding criminal mastermind. Pep talk continued. Don't worry. The books are marked up to boost CSUN's bottom line to feed the educational industrial complex. You're different. You see the truth. Now go, let's do this. I asked another employee for a bookstore bag, walked to the middle of the store and started loading one hulking book after another into the large paper bag. And then, rip! The bag split down the center. Fuck! I finished stuffing them in, picked up the ripped bag, and headed toward the cashiers. It was time. I approached the cashier area. I suddenly realized I should create the perception I'd already paid for the books. Thinking like the rookie thief I was, I jumped into action with a cashier. Have you seen my checkbook I used to pay for these books? It's black. She looked around her register area. I don't see it here. I patted my pockets. Oh, you know what? Thanks. It's right here. Appreciate your help. I paused and then confidently strode past the security scanners and outside the store. Beep, 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 beep. The heavily pierced girl asked in an accusatory tone, do you have a receipt? Yeah, it's right here. I felt into my pockets. Oh, that's weird. Before I could finish my sentence, she gave me a clear order. Step aside and wait over there, pointing to an open area off to the left. My heart began a predictable pounding as I saw a man approaching me who looked out of place at a college bookstore. Middle-aged, khaki pants, tucked in blue-collared shirt, clean-shaven, neatly combed brown hair. He reached into his back pocket and pulled out a badge. Held it just the way they do on TV. I'm Officer Phil Davis, the undercover police officer assigned to the bookstore here. Yeah, you heard me right. The undercover police officer assigned to the bookstore. This is going great. He asked, how'd you pay for those books? Panic-filled dry mouth kicked in. I could barely speak. Okay, cash, check, charge? He gave me a puzzled look before continuing his impromptu interrogation. Where'd you pay for him? I pointed to the left, then to the right. There? I was succeeding in confusing him. His look told me that. What happened to the bag there? I looked down at the jumbled mess that was my ripped bag, barely holding the pile of books, the pathetic nature of my deception unmasked. Wow, yeah, I don't know. Well, I've been tracking you for the last 15 minutes since you announced to Phoebe in the back you were going to steal those books. I was squirming in the net of his never-ending questions. I needed this to end now. A switch turned off in my mind. In retrospect, what happened next was that somehow I tapped into sort of my truest, most honest self, and I made sincere eye contact with Officer Davis. I confessed. I know what I did, and I know it was wrong. There I was, apologizing like a child, hoping my confession would free me, that he'd give me a slap on the wrist, let me hand him the books, and just go home. He grabbed the shopping bag and said, okay, follow me. I ended up seated in a small office on a hard plastic chair next to Officer Davis's desk, sparse, well-ordered, with a crackling walkie-talkie in the middle. He picked it up. Tony, I'm in the office with the suspect in case you need me. Okay, got it. Suspect? Hearing that word shook me out of my daze, the true reality of my situation sinking in. 19, 7-month run of playing fast and loose with the world, leading here to that word, suspect. I was in shock. Officer Davis sat down, honed in on me. This is a non-profit bookstore. Did you know that? No. It's here for you, and you stole from it. So much for the conspiracy of overpriced textbook. And so much for overthrowing the educational industrial complex one book at a time. Officer Davis stood up and said the words I've been dreading. I'm placing you under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. His voice trailed off as I stared blankly in front of me. He pulled me up, placed my arms behind my back, and wrapped my wrists in the cuffs. Then I blurted out, this is not me. What's that? I said, this is not me. Officer Davis turned me around. I believe you, but today it is. Remember this feeling as you walk past your peers out there. Officer Davis led me from the back of the store, hands behind my back, past the curious onlooker students, through the now silent security scanners, and outside to the black and white police car, where a portly, bald police officer held the door open. Officer Davis stuffed me in the back of the car and slammed the door shut into silence. How many times as a child had I seen someone like me in a caged back seat and thought, how terrible. I wonder what he did. And now I was that guy. Waves of fear rolled in as I imagined what's coming next. Being taken to one of those dingy holding cells you see on TV where there's hulking, angry men hell-bent on hurting someone. How would I get out? Who would I call first? Would I have to spend the night in jail? My body started shaking and my teeth chattering. Car started moving. I assumed we were heading to Devonshire Division Police Station. Instead, after driving 2 minutes, we stopped outside one of the college buildings. where I was led through a single door into a quiet room with another bald and portly police officer behind a desk. Where are we? This is the campus police station. We're going to get your fingerprints, take your picture, finish your paperwork. Then you'll be released on your own recognizance. As it turns out, there were no bars at this police station. However, there were fatherly-looking, portly bald men being quite polite, given the circumstances. After removing the cuffs and getting my prints, one of the officers grabbed a Polaroid camera from his desk. Can you just back up a few feet against the bulletin board there? I need to get your picture. After a few minutes, I asked to see the photo, and he handed it to me. I studied it, not sure what I was looking for. So, this is my mugshot. Yep, I'll put it in your file. You're being charged with misdemeanor petty theft. Petty theft. Hearing those words somehow relaxed me. My future suddenly seemed much less doomed by all my foolish arrogance. After signing out with the officers, I exited the station into the brisk cold night. I was still shell-shocked, but relieved to be going home to my own bed. I ended up dropping my classes for the semester and was allowed to return to school in the fall, graduating 4 years later, all the while aware of the one clear directive I received from the CSUN Disciplinary Committee. I could never, under any circumstances, for the whole of my education and beyond, step foot inside the CSUN bookstore. I was banned for life.
That was Chris Onderdonk.